the way that iPhone revolutionized the tech market when Steve Jobs said, your finger is the ultimate input method for your phone. Well, your hands could be the ultimate input method for your augmented reality interaction.
Angel, can you start off by telling us what is augmented reality and how does it work?
Augmented reality is essentially the way for people to interact with animated objects. It's usually done with a piece of equipment that you wear. It could be a headset or smart glasses, for example, or there is even prototypes for smart lenses. And essentially, as we can see on the illustration, is you see the world around you. So it's not the same as virtual reality where you're completely immersed in a digital world, but you remain in your surroundings, but you can see objects that are currently largely locked on the screen actually outside of it, and you manipulate those with your hands, and that's the essential value that augmented reality adds, is the way people interact with animated objects and menus. And of course the importance of that aspect is how it can change our productivity, how it can change the ways we check our mail, we browse the web, or we interact with objects. So in that sense, it's a very important, promising technology.
So has this sector attracted any money yet?
Yes, absolutely. Currently, the augmented reality sector has attracted over $1.5 billion in investments, which is pretty impressive for a sector that doesn't actually yet produce any goods or services. It's currently still at the pre-launch stage. The vast majority of that money has been devoted to the app called Magic Leap. That's currently the most advanced of them, that has released quite impressive videos of the way large audiences can interact with these objects. So it has taken around $850 million in investments, and the rest, 850, is split between over 50 companies located all over the world. Switzerland is actually also quite strong on that aspect. There are quite a few companies run by Disney Studios who are currently engaging that. And we can see that the large proportion of those investments have actually been devoted not to the development of technology itself. That, as you can see, is just a relatively small part, about 25–30%. The vast majority of it goes towards retail and marketing. So first of all, positioning it to consumers as that's the next cool thing. Be excited for it and be ready with your wallets. And the second part is, of course, to encourage companies to see it's a big thing and to basically create incentives for them to transform their business models to take benefit of this augmented reality technology. And up until 2018 and beyond, this will be the largest chunk, changing consumer preferences and changing business models towards AR.
And in what sectors in particular are we seeing this?
We're seeing this in various sectors. Above all, of course, there is the value of entertainment sector. Hence, the largest investors into AR have been, Disney Studios, Legendary Pictures, 20th Century Fox, and of course, a bunch of venture capital funds who are focused on technologies. So the technical companies, they want to keep the market share in order to finding more and more innovative ways people can interact with augmented reality. The way that iPhone revolutionized the tech market when Steve Jobs said, your finger is the ultimate input method for your phone. Well, your hands could be the ultimate input method for your augmented reality interaction. So in that sense, the VC sector is definitely feeling that there is a lot of potential in that, and hence they've invested. In structural sectors where they've invested, it's been divided between four main areas. One of them was healthcare, then there was entertainment and gaming, commercial and hardware. The health sector is quite important for a lot of brain imaging, when you have 3D imaging of patients' brain, which neurosurgeons can scan through, and other quite complicated surgeries. Entertainment is pretty self-explanatory. People can have video games that are expanding into the real world, and there are quite a few interesting demonstrations already available on that. And the part on the commercial aspect is essentially how to increase the productivity of workers. How can you collaborate on group projects, or how can you, if you're a designer or if you have a project management, how could you basically manipulate objects and animated things with your hands to maximize your productivity. So it's essentially a gigantic way to move away from keyboard and mouse or even touch screens to enable us to take the full depth of managing projects. So in that field, that's the most important part.
And is there any unusual startups that you've actually seen in this sector?
There are quite a lot of different varieties, mainly using technology, but one startup that is actually here in Switzerland, it's in Geneva, they've decided to see how art could actually augment reality of people. So they're proposing this, what they call an avant-garde solution for artists, the way to see how creative work of young and aspiring artists could change the way people perceive reality. So they enable people to create an artistic space where they actually showcase their artwork, and then they try and see how this could change the way you interact with your own home. So they say they let people put a critical review of that. They let people say what emotions and feelings the particular work evokes from them. And then people will actually base their decisions on how they feel about certain products, not based on the pricing. Actually, interestingly, ArtMesh don't use pricing. They use user-generated content and emotions to enable work to gain its own value in non-monetary sense. And then, based on that appreciation, the patrons of art can actually provide financial support for the artists. So in that sense, they're moving away from traditional e-commerce. They're mixing the social network aspect, the creative platform, and e-commerce in non-standard ways to enable the aspiring young artists to promote their work. And the second way they do it is actually by bringing in aspiring critics of art. And those can also specifically mention how the reality that the painter is presenting, how it affects their own well-being and emotions. And in that sense, by providing that feedback, they enable discovery for the people on that platform. So currently they're mainly in Switzerland, but they've already kind of gone into Italian and French markets because those countries have a lot of art in it, and they've been kind of held down by conservative motions. So they're interested to see how using technology and innovative online solutions could bring up the market for art.
Well, Angel, thank you once again for coming in and sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure.
Well, that's all once again from myself and Angel, but for all the latest Dugoscopy updates, do keep clicking back.